What's happening? Let's take a look at some social media stuff. Things that you guys have sent me, other people I hang out with, we've looked at and talked about. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Warrior Mindset Podcast. We're your guide as you make your way through life, getting better 1% every day. We believe that life is lived and true victory won through adversity. Nothing easy is ever worth it. We believe in the warrior ethos and support those that choose to walk that path.
You guys sent me this dude, Mr. Hammerhand. I don't really understand why, but let's just take a look at one of these. So this guy is like I don't know, he's like an older, I'm assuming some sort of karate or, you know, Korean martial art or whatever. He's doing a lot of like breaking and stuff like that. I don't really go in for these like world record type dealios. I think it's sort of silly. I mean, he clearly has some sort of skill. Maybe it's skill or whatever. He's trained a long time to be able to do this. I'm sure he can use that for real damage and stuff on his techniques. I mean, that's a legit thing when you look at traditional martial arts and older forms and stuff. And here he is. He's like breaking bats and breaking coconuts with his hand and stuff. He's doing a bunch of them in a row. A little silly, honestly, but he is just having fun. This next one we're looking at, he's using his elbow or something. Oh no, he's punching with his hand, and he beat the guy using his elbow. Um, some training stuff. I don't really know. This looks like your standard older karate guy doing weird stuff. Yeah, so yeah, it'd be cool to be able to do that, but I don't really want to go through years of smashing my hand like that. Definitely old school. Speaking of these older masters, I found this video a while back, and it's of this old master, dude from Okinawa, whatever. It's called the most dangerous punch, Masakai Ikemiyagi. Yeah, and it shows him working his techniques, much like Mr. Hammerhand himself. Here he goes showing this stuff off, and I posted this for my students too about some more old school type training, and I dig some of this stuff. This isn't as silly as like trying to set Guinness World Records and stuff, which you know more power to you, Mr. Hammerhand. But these guys train this stuff. Let's see. Yeah, this one was cool. I thought this one was cool. He went to punch the Makawara, and he winds up like showing off a couple punches and snaps right through the Makawara. Clearly, this is a video where these guys are showing this stuff off. I guess that's sort of the whole point. But yeah, this is pretty cool training. I did a older video about Masayama and how he did a lot of this stuff, and I have one of his books, and where we're just like looking at the different techniques that he taught and stuff like that. Very similar to some of this stuff. Very old school. A lot of schools don't train this anymore because most of your students will leave because this stuff is just too hard to do. I've done a little bit of this myself, not to this degree, but it is challenging, and yeah, I dig it. So thank you for sending that. Ooh, now this one, I probably don't do one of these without something from Ryan Holiday. Ryan Holiday here. He's the guy behind the Daily Stoic. And it wasn't one of his books, but it was another interpretation of Marcus Aurelius's meditations, his journal entries. And boy, was it good! The way it was put together, like conversationally. Ryan Holiday stuff's very good too. But this post, man, this post, I'm going to do a whole podcast with someone on these points because this thing is super good. And Thank you for sending this. I would have missed it, but damn, this thing was good. It's just a couple days ago. So, questions to ask yourself every day. Does anger make, and man, I wrote these down. Does anger make this better? Mm, Run it whenever you find yourself, and I do often, you're dealing with someone and they're making you mad or they're insulting you or you're feeling insulted or whatever. This is the first filter you should probably hit. Does me being mad make this better? There are cases where it does, right? There are times where, yeah, this guy's trying to, or this person's trying to push me around. This person's trying to get something out of me. Get out of my face, like that. Yeah, use it. But then there are other times where it's like, yeah, I'm just kind of overreacting, and I don't think it's good. Why do I care what they think? The little Marcus Aurelius quote, and it's really cool because I just read. He has a whole section on this in the book I just read. But tranquility comes when you stop caring what they say or think or do. I think it's a paraphrase maybe, but it's like only care what you do. Um, Man, that's strong. Why do I care what they think? Why do I care what they think? I'm going to try this idea. I'm going to do this episode of this podcast. And why do I care? Why do I really care what you think? I think this is good information, so I'm going to put it out into the world. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. Um, if you're trying something new, why do you care what other people's opinions are? If there's a person in your life that you do care what they think, then you need to. That's one of the we were talking earlier, or at another point about like you know limiting the people in your circle, like those best friends, like how they're probably smaller as you age or as you progress through your life or whatever. If they're those people, then yeah, you know who those people are. But generally speaking, the public, why do you care? Um, do what's right. You know what's right. What if I said no? We're tight fisted with property and money, yet think too little of wasting time. The one thing about which we should all be the toughest misers. That's from Seneca. It's really the only thing we have is time. Like that's it. Like when everything, and I've witnessed this, when everything is done, when you are there at the end, and the thing that you have, when you start out you have the most of, at the end you have the least of. When you're there and it's the last minutes of your consciousness, when you are interacting with other people, that is the most important thing. So the whole memento mori and thinking about that, and like the way you treat that time should honestly be the way you treat all of your time. And I know that's a tall order, and I waste time too. um but man, I try to control it. I really do. I really try to control it, and I try to get as much out of every day as I can. And I lead some really long days. I'm up at 4 a.m., coach, teach in the morning, go to work all day, then go back and do it again in the evening, teach and coach again in the evening because I love it, and make these podcasts and focus on work and try to communicate well. It's There's a lot of things that happen in your day, and this idea of, what if I say no? What if I don't do something? Use that. Um, Use that as a tool. Yeah, that's good. Is this necessary? What m- Most of what we say and do is not essential. If you can eliminate it, you'll have more time and more tranquility. Let that sink in. Is this necessary? Now, there was another thing. I've found before about like when you should tell someone something. So it's like three things. It's like, should this be said? Should this be said now? And should this be said now by me? And those are three like filters for when you give advice or when you're not, not just random, whatever, but whenever you're interacting with someone and you're helping them or doing something or whatever. And I use that a lot too. And I let a lot of things go that I now that I probably wouldn't have, um, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or whatever. Um, and I think I have a lot more peace in my life because of that, because I'm less willing to fight. And sometimes your fighting is just it's just noise. It's just whatever it is. It's just your ego or your whatever getting in the way of you um, living peace, tranquility, like Marcus Aurelius has here. So, is this necessary? Is me doing this thing or saying this thing or in taking this thing? Is it necessary? If it's not, then you know, edit it. Sort of that minimal mentality. How can I be stronger for this? No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. Yeah. So I think that we all want to know what we're made of. We all want a moment to know what we're made of. And the same time, I literally had breakfast with a friend this morning and we talked about the fact that you never truly know the character of a person until you go through hell together, right? Whenever the poop hits the fan and you're with someone and then like you stay through with them and you stay true to each other. um, that's when you know the true measure of a person. And it sucks when you're in it, man. Man, it sucks when you're in it. But if it's something that you go through, man, do you grow from it? And you all the big mix ups in my life and the big mistakes and the missteps and the losses and the you know even the I've been sued 3 times in my 27-year self-employment adventure. And I think that each time I've learned from them and I've come out better at business and better at making decisions and things. And I think that's a direct result of going through something and coming out the other side, whether winning or losing. How can I be stronger for this? What can I let go of? To accept it without arrogance, to let it go with indifference. That one is very deep and probably one I need to study a lot more. What can I let go of? I carry a lot of baggage, and I've said it before that one of my biggest faults I think is that I hold grudges for a long time, and that's probably not healthy. It probably doesn't bring me the most peace, and that is something I have to work on. And this statement, what can I let go of? Uh, Man. And then also from a physical, like this shit in your house, like point of view. Can you throw some stuff out, man? Can you edit some of the stuff in your living room? Like this is kind of a joke, but like legitimately, can you let go of some things? I have a hard time with that too. I have T-shirts that are older than my kids, and my oldest kid is about to graduate college, and I have T-shirts older than him. And why am I holding on to this old concert T-shirt just for the memory of the concert I went to? It's absurd, but I do have a problem with some of that. I wonder if you do too. If you do, let me know. It's kind of funny. This one was sort of sad, you know. um, I was talking with someone the other day about childhood friends and stuff like that, and then I guess they'd found this and sent it to me. But 91% of people are no longer friends with the person they once called best friend. I mean, I got some of that too. Some people that I went to grade school with and stuff. I don't talk to anymore. We've drifted apart. I think that's a natural progression of being a human being. I mean, if you're growing, getting better, not necessarily that the other person isn't better, but if you're growing and changing and working on your life and you experience things and all that, you're going to be different. You're going to drift apart from other people, and I think that's a good thing. I really do. Um, the number with the best friend dropped from 77% to 59% on average. Americans have 3 to 5 close friends, but 8% have none. Older adults tend to have more close friends, while 51% of people report struggling to make new ones, especially as they age. Um, Percentage of people reporting no close friends rising from 3% in 1990 to 12%, I guess, today. Um, yeah, but that's sort of the thing that you do as you get older. Your circle gets smaller. I mean, you're going to edit out those people that don't bring anything to you, that don't, um, yeah, that don't make you better, that don't make you happy, that don't like. You're just going to do that. You're going to spend less of your time experimenting and uncovering new things in people. You're going to want to go with familiar and uh, things that make your life better. I think that's just what you're going to do, and you know, you just learn. You just learn what you like, and you go for that. I, as in terms of lifelong friends, I do have personally. I have a couple that I met in college that I'm still friends with, and that was 30 years ago or so. Still best friends with my best friend. And then worked with another person for a good for 15 years, and still talk to my original freshman roommate that we moved in together after our first semester roommates not working out. We wound up being art students together, and moved in, and we're still good friends. And you know I- they were my best friends then. They're probably pretty, I would consider pretty close to best friends now. I would say that out of people in high school, I'm not. Um, and then there's other people I've met along the way in different phases of my career that I was pretty close to, that I'm no longer, 10, 15 years ago, that I'm no longer close to. So yeah, I think this is, I don't I think this is being sort of portrayed maybe in a negative light. And I don't know that it's necessarily negative personally. I don't think it's a bad thing to edit out um useless people from your life. And I know that sounds bad, but people that don't bring anything to the relationship. I think it's okay to grow out of that. Or, if your goals have changed, which they should change over time, um, people who aren't similarly aligned, I think that's something that's going to happen too. I think it's just life. So, yeah. Speaking of life, we've got some more of those in line that people sent. So let's see what that is. So this is an account I actually follow. I was talking with someone recently about they were using the term frequencies. Like he's not in my vibe, he's not in my frequency or whatever. And then someone else, like on the same day, sent me this, and I thought it was serendipitous that one person had used the term frequency, and then this post, because we were talking about fear. And I've interviewed Tony Blauer, um, who's the no fear, uh, no, like, not no fear, like don't have fear, but like know it and work with it and control it. The fear guy. He also has the fuck fear t-shirt and stuff. But anyway, he's like a self-defense instructor, and he talks about fear a lot. And he studies it and really gets deep into it. And I thought this one was pretty cool because this is the angry therapist. And again, I started to say that, but I've followed this guy for a long time. He's recently written a book, but I've kind of followed this guy's Instagram career from nothing to posting, and he's a legit therapist. But let's look at two common frequencies people live on. Fear. People who are afraid, it's their automatic default to scan an alert of all things that can go wrong. afraid of being themselves, expressing themselves, intimacy failure, blah, blah, blah. So the result is they limit and lock their potential as a friend, a lover, athlete, son, daughter, parent, artist, human. So they're afraid. They sort of live their life worrying. They're a worrier. They're thinking about external factors and things. So there's that. And then he's got this other, he's got a lot there. Fearless, not fearless, but fearless. He didn't say fearless. He says fearless. So yeah, I agree with him when he says when he sees the word fearless, he thinks of reckless and impulsive, but this is fearless, right? Like everybody has fear. We're all scared of something, but people that aren't constantly trapped by it, they aren't constantly worried about other people's opinions and external factors and well, what could go wrong and what if this and what if that. They're the people who aren't necessarily afraid of failure. They're looking at it in terms of, yeah, I failed, but it's part of the life lesson. And I forget, there's some other guy on a podcast somewhere that calls it a tuition payment. So failure is like your tuition payment, right? And I like that. I think that's a really good way. I'll put this whole post in the put this whole link in the post. The question is really, what frequency are you living on? Are you living in the fear frequency or the fearing less frequency? I think a lot of people, and he gets a lot of interactions over here in the comments, um, and they're worth studying too, just seeing what people say. But um, I think a lot of people are sort of they're like they live in they live in that fear zone, but then they're also like on the precipice of not there. There's something that just keeps you from taking that step, from taking that class, from going into that thing or doing that first thing. And usually it is uh, around this idea of worrying about other people's opinions of you and their judgment of you. And that's sort of, I think, where we need to focus our growth. We need to focus our um, the things that we're working on. We need to kind of zone in on what we think other people think of. I see it in my martial arts classes. I see it a lot in the classes I teach where there's a bit of a performance aspect to what we're doing, and people will sort of start doing something and make a mistake and then want to, in the middle of doing it, want to like talk about why they're making the mistake and immediately make excuses instead of simply um, correcting it and moving on or restarting or whatever. I find that fascinating to look at where someone is in their, like, how old are they? Where are they in their life cycle? Where are they in the professional career and stuff like that? And I think a lot of that can affect where some of these folks are. And that's one of the things I focus on when teaching others the martial arts is that's one of the things that I will zero in on. And I find that um, I feel it too. I feel it sometimes when I'm learning something new or whatever, and I know that's sort of the little that's sort of the little thread that I know that, oh, I feel that, like, this is something new. This is where I can grow. And I feel like I've trained myself enough to know that when I feel that, to let go of the ego a little bit, to sort of, that's where the humility can come in and let you get over that. And I think I just this resonated with me, and I think that's an area where we can all sort of zero in on and really begin to sort of pick away at our own growth. So yeah, so good stuff here. So I don't know if you guys watch Joe Rogan much. I don't watch him as much anymore. I'm sort of like getting a little burned out on the bro potosphere. Potosphere, is that a term? It should be. Podcast sphere. I still like him. I still like a lot of the stuff, a lot of the guests he has and things like that. Some of them kind of bore me. Particularly the comedians. I don't, it's kind of like me. But every once in a while he has like he had Russell Crowe on for a bit there, but he had Mel Gibson back on. I think it was the second time he was on, and it was like, say what you want about him. I think Mel Gibson might be a little crazy, but it was fascinating to listen to him and to watch his movements and things. I encourage you to go watch it. I mean, I'm not saying believe anything that they say. They say some pretty outrageously crazy things, and they say some things that really hit home at the same time. That's kind of the thing with Joe Rogan, where it's like, yeah, also, like, um, so this is one where he's actually talking about his alcoholism problems, and um, if you're familiar with that, he was arrested a couple times maybe, but at least once. I know that he was arrested, pulled over for drunk driving after some party or whatever. But this was a good listen. This is actually from the Mark Bell's Instagram account. He's like a fitness guy, whatever. As he's responding to watching it.
And I mean, I don't think it's any secret. I am flawed in the fact that I am by nature born an alcoholic, right? I did drugs, I did alcohol. So, and there was nothing that could stop me from doing that. So I regard the fact that I was able to appeal to something greater than myself to help me and actually stop me doing that. I think that's a miracle. It is. For me, it is. And for many. So you're suffering your spiritual malady.
Yeah.
So it's a spiritual cure. And that's the essence, I think, of why it works.
Deep. I'm not here to preach that you need to find religion or anything like that. That's the last thing I would ever do. But I do think that it might be one of the things that we're all kind of struggling with is connecting to something. It's funny that a post about alcoholism, and Mark Bell's talking about his family being alcoholics. I have some alcoholics, drug abusers or whatever in my family. I think we probably all do, if not ourselves, but we all have that person in our family. But I think that it might be one of the things we're all sort of struggling with, when we look at politics in the world. And one of the reasons why podcasts are so popular, we're all looking for connection. And that might be one of the things why, we're getting in trouble with drugs and alcohol too. I know over COVID, over that, the lockdown, whatever, 2020, however you want to refer to it. A lot of people kind of went off the deep end with some of this stuff. I know that I know of people that work with that worked with some people I know have literally died from addiction and stuff, and it was exacerbated during that thing. And I think we'll be studying the results of the lockdown and stuff for years to come on different generations and things. But I think it's one of the things we're struggling with. We're struggling with connecting to something, whether that's some sort of religion thing to you, your spirituality. And I believe you can have spirituality without it being specifically religious, Christian religious or whatever. I think you can have spirituality without it being specifically tied to one specific thing. I think you can have that. I've seen people. I believe that, and if you do, that's fine too, because it's where you get your connection from. For me, I have a deep connection to the martial arts, and I have a deep connection to that world and the people in it, and serving people through that vehicle is my connection. And I think it really helps ground me. I think that's one of the things when we think about jujitsu as a super popular thing. I think that's one of the things that draws people to that. I just saw a video about are you in a cult? is your martial art a cult or whatever? And they went through all these points and stuff. And, they I think that's a deeper conversation, I think. I'll pull that one up later. But I just think that people are looking to be connected to something. And it's funny that this post on alcoholism made me think of all that because you gotta, there are people that are just naturally addicts, right? They like him. He says he was just born that way and whatever because of genetics or family or whatever. Go listen to the podcast. But I just think it's a place where we're struggling, and I encourage everyone to find something. For me, martial arts is the first thing I would recommend for someone, whatever that thing is. And don't listen to other people. Don't read the comments, as Joe Rogan would say. Just find something that you can connect with and get into it. I think it could save you. So yeah, that's my advice. All right, any one of these that I do would not be complete without a Mark Manson Instagram that we look at. I've got a student and a friend of mine who has started coaching youth baseball. He's a ex-collegiate baseball player, and he started coaching youth baseball. And he was sort of, yeah, we were agreeing. He was sort of complaining a bit about the parents and how, the parents of baseball players were just like out of their mind. Bitching and moaning about stuff. And he's like, look, just let us work with the kid. They're not going to, first off, they're like 7 or 8 or 10 or whatever. They're not going to the major leagues like anytime soon. They need a lot of development. Let us work on it. So Mark Manson has these great posts sometimes. So this is a great one. Where he's talking about coaching like his son or something, his little league baseball, and how the parents were terrible. But it led into this. Where I grew up, we used to say someone was all sizzle, no steak. It meant they made a lot of noise, but never actually did anything. There's a lot of sizzlers in the world. Are you one of them? Are you a steak? Worrying is a cheap replacement for caring. Complaining is a cheap replacement for fixing. And outrage, dude, the German 3, and outrage is a cheap replacement for supporting. I have a friend who's been on this show a lot, Heather Bauer. I don't know if you've watched any of those episodes. Go back and listen. She is someone that I look up to in terms of putting action to words. Always been sort of like socially vocal and worrisome about, the world, and then put up her own money and time and ran for office, lost twice, and then won, and has now won again, and is doing something. And I watch videos of her fighting in the House, and it's amazing to me, and it's inspiring to watch someone put their money where their mouth is and go out and do all the things that we've talked about here and just put it on the line. That is so inspiring. That's real life. And we all need more of that. We all need more little league coaches. Worrying is a cheap replacement for caring. I'm just saying them again so they sink in. Complaining is a cheap replacement for fixing. And outrage is a cheap replacement for supporting. When was the last time you did something? So use that as a thread, use that as a thing that you pull the next time you are feeling upset or put out or angry about something. Just run it through that filter of what have I done for this thing? It could be as simple as, man, I gave money to this organization that like does stuff that fixes the thing that I'm complaining about. Whatever. I think you're going to feel better about the universe if you do something like that. I know I do. Like he says, there's a difference between recognizing a shitty situation and endlessly bitching about it. Yeah, man, it's so hard to accept it and work on something to fix it. That is what separates random people in this world from the warriors. The warriors get up and do something, and the real warriors get up and do something for real. And man, that's important. So yeah, so his little post about coaching little league baseball and taking the brunt of the parents bitching and then saying something to them and getting them to buy in and doing something about it takes effort and work, and it takes your commitment. And just like Heather, it takes real guts. And we need more little league coaches in the world. So here is an interesting post. No one sent me this, but I found this and I sent it to someone, and we had a discussion over this. And the insecure overachiever mindset. This is sort of like the worrier who is rewarded by worrying. And this is from Chris Williams. Got a pretty big podcast. I think he's like in the top 20 podcasts in the world or something like that. Might even be higher, but um, pretty decent show. He has really good guests, and he kind of goes deep dive with them, and I've enjoyed it. It is definitely in the the podcast bro sphere, I think, or it's gotten there. But anyway, I enjoy his show. The insecure overachiever mindset. When faced with a challenge, your nature might be to worry and obsess and grip tightly. The classic insecure overachiever mindset. I don't know what that is, but because worrying is so common in every pursuit you attempt, your successes are seen as proof that worrying is a performance enhancer, and your failures are proof that you should have worried more all along. So it's sort of like a false positive in this thing, right? Um, so like a walking anxiety disorder harnessed for productivity. So you build this link between worrying and being successful or your performance, right? Um, and so you begin to believe that like the more I worry, the better I will be, or the less I worry, the less I'm gonna the worse job I'm gonna do. Uh, yeah, got a bunch of stuff here. It's a really worth your read. It's like 14 slides long, but it's kind of about letting go. Don't being this worrier. Be the warrior, not the worrier. It's kind of cheesy, but I think you get it. And I know several people like this, and I've witnessed some people like this. We recently had some rank testing, and I think all parties involved kind of overanalyzed things and worked with this world of worrying about outcomes and things, and were not really able to put themselves in a place where they could just let go and perform. And it affected them, it affected the job they could do, it affected, I mean, they all passed, but um I could see that. I could see that worry. I could see that over preparation, and I could see the um, I call them detail warriors, WARR, detail warriors, where you'll be teaching someone something and ask like a bajillion questions, and the questions don't stop, and there's more questions than actual practice. At some point, it can get that way with some people, and I think maybe I'm a little dumb. I was never that way. I would always just shut up and do what the instructor would tell me to do, and I would just drill it. I can see value in the other side because there's a lot of things that I think I've missed that I now see other people, they know things, and I'm like, wait, where'd you learn that? And they're like, the same class you were in. I'm like, oof. Um, but at the same time, I think maybe I'm better than them in certain aspects of things. Whatever. It's got to be a healthy line to hold between really deep diving and worrying about these details so much, and just letting go and drilling and practicing and learning. Um, it's kind of funny. He's got a lot of like well-known people that respond here. You should go look at the comments. It's funny. But yeah, so you got to get to a place where you're able to, yeah, work and soak in these details and stuff, but also let go a bit and just let it roll. Just let it roll. I think we'll both be better off. I also saw a podcast recently. If anybody's listening to this and you're an instructor of any kind, martial arts or, you know, CrossFit or whatever, and they were like kind of complaining about the person that asks all the questions all the time. And he was saying that he has a really good solution. The person will ask a question like, "Hey, well, what if this happens? And what about this?" And he'll say, "You're right," and just move on. And then the person will ask, "Well, what about this? What if this happens?" He said, "You're right," and just keep going. Um, I'm gonna start trying that. I think that was really funny, um, because people do that. They ask all these scenarios and questions, and what about this? And should my finger be here or here? Um, and it's I get it. They care, but at a certain point, it's like you just need to do it. And if I see it and I think it needs to be corrected, I will say something as the instructor. And likewise, I expect the instructor to do that too. It's just kind of funny. And there's also another type of person. Since I'm on this role of complaining a little bit, I guess, that I see there are people in particularly in like the fitness classes or in martial arts too, where they will worry about the class itself, and they'll be doing whatever, and they'll say like, well, what about we got like 10 minutes left, or aren't we going to do X, Y, or Z? And it's like, who's running the class here, man? Like, why are you concerned with the structure of the class versus like the things that you've been instructed to work on? And again, I'm not better than anyone, but like distinctly remember times being in class and just completely losing track of time and working and being covered in sweat and being like, man, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, class is almost over. Like I've just been in the corner working my ass off. I know a lot of people like that, and that is an amazing person to be around. Someone who does that, and that is something that I strive to be. And I've also been in class where I'm working, and I can see the other person that just like talking and asking questions, and it's like, well, I'm just gonna go over here and work. I don't know why you're talking so much. I don't know if that resonates with you or not, or if I'm talking about you and you're getting pissed off. Sorry. So anyway, this was a cool one, and uh, like I said, I sent this to some people, and they were like, "Ooh, you're talking about me," and I found that rewarding. So yeah, I hope you get something out of that one. I hope you can see this one. This is another Ryan Holiday, and I actually stole one of these. He does these posts where he's like highlighting things from his book, and I stole one of these and put it on the whiteboard at the gym. You don't have to always be amazing. You do always have to show up. That's a good one. You got to do something. But this one, man, this week kind of kicked me in the ass. To procrastinate is to be entitled. It is arrogant. It assumes there will be a later. It assumes you'll have the discipline to get to it later, despite not having the discipline now. To paraphrase the Stoics, you could be good now, but instead you choose tomorrow instead. The time to do it is now. The time to get started is now. Whatever, if that motivates you. But the thing about, it was just some stuff that I just keep putting off, keep putting off, keep putting off, keep putting off. And I just keep paying the price for it. I put it off long enough. And then somebody's like, well, how about that thing? And I'm like, ugh. And then my natural reaction is to want to like make up a reason, like lie or, you know, create some scenario why the world is affecting me and I can't do this thing. And it's like, why I should have just done the thing. And then I finally get to the point of doing the thing and it takes like 5 minutes and I get it done. Like, what's wrong with me? This one kicked me in the ass. I'm going to print this one out and put it somewhere in the office, but I'm going to read it again. To procrastinate is to be entitled. It is arrogant. It assumes there will be a later. It assumes you'll have the discipline to get to it later, despite not having the discipline now. Man, I hope that one affects you like it did me. Man, that one's good. This is a little quick one from Ryan Hoover. Been following that guy for years. He's up in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, like a self-defense, jiu-jitsu black belt now, what I saw. Anyway, kind of look up to this guy a bit. Don't know him that really, but and he has this post here. When I hear someone say, well, this is my truth, this is typically what I think. The post that he has, it's a dangerous thing to mistake speaking without thought for speaking the truth. And that's a line from the movie Glass Onion, Daniel Craig's character. I can hear it now in his accent. It's a dangerous thing to mistake speaking without thought or speaking the truth for speaking the truth. Man, I butchered that the second time through. I've also heard, and I know people, you probably know people like this too, that are like, well, I'm going to give you my opinion. You know me, I speak the truth. That's a good way to be. We should all speak the truth. We should all say what we want. We should all say what we mean and accurately communicate it. But that is also not an excuse for being a dick, right? It goes back to the earlier thing where it's like, is this necessary? Should it be said now? Does it need to be said? Does it need to be said now? Does it need to be said now by me? Is it necessary? You should think deeply about the details of what you communicate. At least I think you should. That's something I've learned recently from my sensei, my teacher. We all make mistakes. He's not perfect. Neither am I. But like, to be measured and thoughtful in the way you phrase things and say things to other people. Does it build them up? Does it help? Is it necessary? That is what puts you in that masterful mindset for being. And I think, Ryan Hoover, I followed him for a long time. He clearly thinks about the things he puts out into the world. Whether they're measured for marketing or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, think about that. Just think about that. Let that sink in. Become a better, truthful communicator. It's probably not fair for me to mention Alex Hormozy in the same segment as Wes Watson and Tim Kennedy or whatever, but I have a love-hate relationship with this guy. I think he's a snake oil salesman of the first degree, but whoever he has writing his content writes interesting stuff, except for this one. I've been in business for myself for 25 plus years, and I think 27 to be specific about the amount of time, but had offices. I've had many, many employees at one time, down to very few, down to just 2 people working on the business. I own a couple of businesses. This is my office here. I have a studio. I have places where I don't have an office. Sometimes I work from home, whatever. But this is some of his 3 hacks that made my life suck less, and I'm going to poop on him, but let's have some fun. So let's watch it first.
1, I wear no strips every day. When 3 hacks that made my life suck less. Hack 1, I wear nose strips every day when I sleep, and I usually just keep them on because I can't breathe out of my nose. I've had 2 nose surgeries, and if I don't wear it, I'm just a mouth breather, which sucks. Hack 2, I wear the same thing every day. I wear the same hat, I wear the same beater, I wear a flannel on top, I wear the same brand of shorts, and I wear the same shoes. And I do that because I can go to the gym by just taking this off. I can go to a nice restaurant by putting this on. I can pretty much do anything I want up to 45 degrees in temperature without having to add any other layers. Hack 3, I tried 1,000 different gym bags until I
Those are stupid.
found my actual gym bag, which wasn't a gym bag to begin with.
Bag. Yeah, here's the other one.
Hack 1, make it hard to do anything but work. So if you look at my office, I have no windows anywhere and it's really plain. And so the only thing I really have to do is work. Hack number 2, a lot of people spend way too much time on their phone and not working. And so to cut down on my phone time, I put this little setting on there, boom, makes it gray. And so it's supposed to decrease how much you use your phone by 30%. At least it did for me. So you work that much more.
That's probably good advice. I think I might try that one. So Alex, you got 1 out of 5 so far.
Hack number 3, hear all that? I don't. It's easier to do more when you hear less. And these are 3 hacks to make life suck less. Hack 1.
Okay, that didn't really get in there. So you look at the comments, they're kind of funny. No windows, looks more like torture. But if it works, it works. Bro's got that anti-Huberman routine. Yeah, the headphones will be most challenging. You don't realize how much noise there is in the world. 3 hacks to speed run depression. Yeah, I don't agree with 5 out of 6. I think the headphones thing, yeah, sometimes I do wear headphones when I need it, when I absolutely need to just crank on some work for like 30 minutes or so. But anything past that, it's like I start to get depressed. The no windows thing, I don't have windows in my office to go out to I have a skylight and then I have a door so I can see people. It's very nice to see other human beings. I often wonder about people that work solely from home by themselves and stuff, how long before they just get kind of depressed. And with all the talk about, people not wanting to go back to the office and stuff like that, they're just like having a lot of trouble with it. That's a different conversation, but I think it's also, you're used to spending so much time by yourself. But the other things like he looks like a hobo, right? Like I'm not gonna like, would you really take life advice from anyone that looks like this? Like just in general, let's say you're wherever and someone introduces you, hey, this is my friend Alex, and he ran this gym company or whatever, and he does stuff, I don't know, and then would you listen to him? Or are you only doing that because you've listened to his actual story and you think he's a multimillionaire or whatever? Like, I don't know, maybe he is, maybe he isn't, he says he is. The nose strips thing, whatever, that's like, you got a nose problem, okay, whatever. But like the clothes, the gym bag, okay, great. I don't know if that's a life hack, but the working this way, the only thing I think is the grayscale on the phone. I think that's pretty smart. I think that if you're being distracted by wanting to look at stuff on the internet while you should be working anyway, is probably there's probably some other things than just changing stuff grayscale on your phone can help. Yeah, this was fun. Don't agree with most of the stuff that he puts out there when it comes to like these things, like these like life hacks or do these things or this is my routine stuff. I think he's just making content. He's stated that he's just out there to make content. He's got the brute force method of just making more content than other people that will get him up there. I mean, he's a ton of comments and stuff. So, he's doing something right there, but not so sure I'd want to live that lifestyle. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. Put some comments if you agree with any of that, or if you think I'm being a jerk. Maybe I'm being a jerk, but yeah, there you go. All right, there we go. I think that it's enough for one day. Plenty of stuff. And man, if any of that stuff rings true to you, or you hate me for it. You think I'm an idiot. Let me know. I want to hear. Most of you do anyway. Most of you will tell me that I'm wrong. You like to do that. So that's cool.